So we're a little bit more sensible today, with a more sensible hat, at least I think so. I went out with my kids and I bought a hat. This is actually my hat, and I like it. Where are we today? Well, if anybody knows the Peak District, you know Padley Gorge, you know Surprise View car park, you know the birch trees behind Surprise View car park. Well, we're not going to neither of those, but I am parked at Surprise View car park, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to Bolehill woods and quarry and take the dogs for a walk. Bolehill quarry, give you a bit of history, and if you from the Peak District or Sheffield, you'll know this already, or if you've ever been here, I'm sure you've researched it. But Bolehill quarry, back in, I'm going to say 1904, but I may be wrong, was a hive of industrial activity. Because if you've ever been to Ladybower and the Derwent Reservoir and Howden Reservoir and seen the huge dams there, all the stone, well, I presume all the stone from or for the building of those dams and the surrounding infrastructure was taken from Bolehill quarry. And health and safety wasn't what it was like, or what it's like now. It was pretty horrendous, and unfortunately lots of people were killed in both the making of the reservoirs and also at Bolehill quarry. And I was reading when I was researching coming here today that there was a 14-year-old boy, and my little daughter, she's just turned 12 on Sunday, she's only 2 years younger, and he was crushed to death by a crane, I think, and his father witnessed it and fainted, and I can relate to that. What an awful set of circumstances. And I'm not trying to be macabre, dogs are having a drink, I'm not trying to be macabre, but just the history behind places like these. And now the quarry itself is full of birch trees. My gut instinct today is monochrome, black and white, with a possible hint of split toning into the blues to cool the already cool atmosphere off. If not, it will be a cooler image with split toning to cool the atmosphere off. If not, we won't get any images. We just got to see. Come on, doggies, this way. We're not going to go that way. Teddy, Millie, come on. He's lost. One thing I love about this place is that the birch trees have grown since the quarry people have left, and there's a lovely grassy meadow underneath the birch trees. What I like about areas like this, and areas of trees and areas of woodland, is I don't want to get all arty about it, but there's something so permanent about woodland from a spiritual point of view. So all these trees here, or a lot of them that you can see behind me, and behind me as we spin round, weren't here 110 years ago, or if there were, there was nowhere near as many of them. It was all open land with tin huts on it, with hundreds of people and cranes and pneumatic drills and whatever else was needed to hew the rock out of the quarry, which is up above me here. And these trees have grown since, and these trees could be around 100 years old, could be less than that, but I'm 48 in a few days time, and these trees are going to be here long after I've gone, so when I ever think about the worries of day-to-day life and the anxieties, I think, really, what's the point? Because the people in this location here 100 odd years ago would have been worrying about a lot of the things we were, and perhaps a lot more, and they've all gone. All the people have disappeared, and all we've got is ghosts. And maybe these trees are a good epitaph to those people, to those hundreds of people, if not thousands of people that worked here, and they've now been replaced by these awesome silver birch, which will live here for many hundreds of years past me. It's a monochrome day, flat light, nothing happening. So the fact that we've got these beautiful silver birch which look beautiful and silver when you put them in black and white, just composing this image here that you can see in camera. What I love about this location is the fact that the ground is very grassy, because it wasn't that long ago that it was mud. Basically it produces a nice contrast between the trees and the foreground and the midground at the base of the trees, and these images can look very nice in a narrow pano. But you don't necessarily have to do a pano shot. You can take the shot, but rather than your normal crop, you drop the crop right down so it's long and thin. And the dog's walking through the shot, but we're in video mode. We're in Nikon cam at the moment. But this itself could well lend itself to a black and white image. The beauty with the trees is you hear that people talk about photography telling a story, and this image here that I put on Instagram, and it was also on my last video, people may argue that it's a little bit busy, and they may be right, but that image of the fallen tree being held up by the tree that is supporting it made me feel a little bit sad. And as we get a little bit older, we do lose people, whether or not it's parents or family or even close friends, and that image just reminded me of somebody who was struggling but was being held up by those family and friends. And I know that sounds a bit arty, but it made me a little bit, the image made me a little bit sad, but maybe that's because of reasons that were going on in my head, and then somebody else will look at it and just think, well, it's just a fallen tree pole. The children are going to be earning the pocket money tonight because they're going to be bathing the dogs. That's the deal. I walk them, they bath them. I think I've got the winning part of that. With the beauty of television or YouTube, you may have spotted that my little boy's with me, and he wasn't, and that's because I forgot my 16-35 lens the day before yesterday, and the light was flat, and I thought, you know what, I'll come out again with the boy for a dog walk and bring the 16-35 lens, and I have done today. That's why you'll hear him in the background, and he may be there and he may not, depending on how I edit the images. When I used to shoot prior to YouTube, most of my shooting was done in the Peak District, and almost solely I use the 16-35, because if you go to somewhere like the Lake District or Skye or Snowdonia, you've got those big mountain vistas, and you want to compress the image, so those look closer than they really are. But in the P district you've got more rolling hills and it really doesn't matter, so getting more of the image in with a nice foreground normally is the aim of the game. But for woodland anyway, it just changes things massively, because you do get the sky involved, but what you can do is you can really focus on those foreground elements. Like with this image here, you can see that we've got the hills in the background there, and we've got those beautiful silver birch that are just framing the shot, and then the foreground element of the rusty bracken and the fallen millstones and the mossy rocks. I just love it, and it didn't take 2 seconds to compose, and it's just one of those quick wham bam shots. 1/5 of a second at ISO 64. So if you come to Bolehill, take your time, and if your conditions are right, come and find the millstones. I am loving this rock pool. I keep calling it a rock pool. It's not a rock pool, it's a quarry pool. A number of elements to this shot. Obviously you've got your sky in the background, but then you've got your reflections within the water. Now if you're looking in camera, if I flick that hi Matt, if I flick that polarizer around, you'll see how the glare in the water changes, and you can play around with that to what you like. Now I don't want a lot of glare in the water, so the polarizer is at its max there. And then also what you'll see with the polarizer is it does change the richness of those greens. So when we put the polarizer at its max, those greens are lovely and rich, and the reflection in the water improves things from a focal standpoint, because the focal standpoint is that reflection. And then obviously you've got the sky in the background, which we can do nothing about. It's a flat day, we're just taking the best image we possibly can, and then we're just balancing the rock face on the left hand side with the golden tree in the mid background on the left hand side, and then we have the squiggly silver birch on the right hand side. Settings doesn't matter. I'm shooting at f9 and we're at 20mm. I wouldn't get this shot with my 24-70 lens. And what's interesting, when people come to these woods, you'll find that a lot of the images are very intimate, and they're almost close in type, intimate type shots. Doggies. And maybe if you come here you'd be missing a trick if that's all you did. Yes darling? Can we go soon? Yeah. We weren't even meant to be here to take shots today, Matthew.
We were meant to be taking the dogs out.
I'm meant to be taking the dogs out and playing Jedis. Yeah, he's a Jedi warrior. I think that'll be about it. We're going to go home, pick Matthew's friend up, and he'll have an afternoon, evening and fortnight while I'm editing. And subscribe if you like. If you don't. And we will come back here when the conditions are better. Thanks for watching.